Hey guys, and welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing all things Google Ads, technology, entrepreneurship. And with that, I have Michael Elliott, and he is an entrepreneur at heart. He's got an amazing story to motivate, inspire the audience, and it will be a great roundtable discussion around technology, business, and I'm really happy to have him on. Michael, welcome.
No, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm looking forward to sharing my story.
Yeah. And briefly, just the backstory, because I know you hustled your way from the ground up to multimillionaire and doing amazing things. So use that to set the stage.
Yeah, I graduated from university at 18. At the time, I had a partner. We had a baby, and I split with her. And at that time, my outlook was bleak. There wasn't much happening for me in my life. There was no direction. My degree wasn't really something I was interested in following. And I went through the breakup and I came out the other side and I was in a really bad place. Between the age of probably 19, 20 to 22, it was really dark. There was a period of 6 months where I didn't leave the house, like once, like I stayed at home. I still had my daughter, but I felt like I'd lost everything and I was down. Still a young boy myself, a young man myself at that age. And what happened was when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere for you to go except for up. So I managed to find a job as a PPC executive at a local company that sort of semi-matched my degree in multimedia technologies. And I got this PPC agency job and it lit a fire inside me that realized actually you can be something. You do want to be something. You want to make something out of your life. You don't just want to let it bypass you. So where I am today was never the intention, but slowly as I climbed the ladder there, became SEM director there, progressed in my career, what actually happened was COVID came around and they placed, so I don't want to underestimate how bad those times were for me. But then when COVID came around, I actually realized that I could do anything from home. I didn't need a big corporate office. I didn't need an office with loads of staff members. I needed the internet, a laptop, and a mobile phone to grow a business. And a lot of people see the big blockers. They look at financial blockers. They look at the things that stand in their way. Whereas you should blow those out the water because all that it takes is your energy and those three basic things, which the majority of people can afford. So I had nothing in the bank. I had £3,000 in my bank account when I quit my job. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine who worked at the agency I was at about a year, but he'd quit a year before. He came around my house and he looked me dead in the eye and he said, we were having a conversation about how we were doing. And he looked me dead in the eye and said, looking at you now, don't take offense to this, but look, he looked me in the eye, said, don't take offense to this. But looking at how you are now reminds me of all the good reasons why I did what I did. And the very next day, I handed my notice in with the agency and I said, I'm going to go for this on my own. I know I'm good at this. I excel at this. I'm a good speaker. I'm gonna go all in on it. I just had another baby, so my second baby was here. The pandemic was obviously rife, so things were going crazy with business. And I had, like I said, I had about £3,000 in my bank account and nothing, like literally nothing else. And I just took a leap of faith, thinking, how am I going to make it? And I sat in a room for 2 days. I drew down on a bit of paper what my options were. And it turned out that my options were basically nothing on this bit of paper and that everything had to stand on me. And what I could make it whatever I wanted to make it, but it all stemmed from me. No financial investment, no running of paid advertisements, no Facebook marketing. It stemmed from what I did on a day-to-day basis. And as soon as I realized that fire had been lit in me from when I was 18 years old or 20 years old, whenever I got that job and came out the other side, and I just got up every single day. And when I tell you that I was hustling for these jobs, these PPC Google Ads clients, if you go and look through all of the Google Ads Facebook groups, all of the Google Ads Reddit groups, search my name, you will find me in those groups at all hours of the day, setting alarms at 3 a.m. to answer American clients. I was just learning that giving value first reciprocated an increase in revenue, if you like, at a very small level. So everything I generated was through like social media platforms initially. Obviously, it's different now. I'll explain that in a moment. But that's how I started. And I literally just used social media as a platform for me to be able to go and find these clients. And there are a lot of people, business owners out there who are in these groups asking questions. They might not be your big blue chip companies and corporates like what I work with now. In the last year, I've handled 21 million in ad spend. So, I'm working with significantly larger businesses now than what I did then. But all it took for me to be a success was sheer fire and desire. That's all it was. I didn't have anything given to me. I left with nothing. I had nothing in the account, and it panned out, mate. Yeah, it panned out, Chris. It really did, and I'm glad that I had that entrepreneurial spirit in me, because I think a lot of people, they underachieve. I don't want to say underachieve because that's a bit condescending, but they don't achieve what they could achieve in their goals out of fear alone, just being worried about something bad happening. Whereas me, something switched in me, and I just said, you know what? It doesn't matter. I have to make it work. And when your back's against the wall like that, they say in boxing, don't they, that it's hard to go for your 4 a.m. jog in your silk pajamas. Like when you've made all the money, when you're in the favela, it's very easy to get up and train 4 times a day and eat well, because that's your only way out. Whereas when you're world champion, you've had 10 fights and you've protected it and you're worth 600 million. At that stage, who wants it more in the fight? It's the guy with nothing. And that's where I was at that moment in time.
Yeah, a very amazing story. And we'll dive into the content and the questions. What do people come to you for help with? What are their biggest pain points and frustrations to seek you out?
I am now in the top 1% of Upwork freelancers globally. That's where it shifted. So they came to me. So from an Upwork perspective, big corporates, I've worked with loads of corporates, Perfect Draft, getting out of the US, like some very large firms through Upwork. And what that means is that it gave me a base to go on and be successful. But as the money started coming in, I started to scale the agency. So now I'm in an extremely strong position because I have gone all the way in on AI. I build speed to lead systems for businesses. I automate individual businesses' flows end to end, including a direct TV partner out of the US. Like, I build AI solutions that matter. I focus on the 20% that drives revenue, not the 100%, because a lot of people with AI, they get the shiny light. There's always a new object. There's something new released every day. But my belief is, and the fact is, that if you look at businesses' problems, generally speaking, 99% of the problems that existed 50 years ago are the same issues that businesses face today. Handling sales, following up, churn, like all of these things. They had them before the digital age. They just didn't know how to fix them. I'm the guy you go to when you want to fix them. And like now owning a PPC agency, an AI agency, and a few other businesses that are bricks and mortar and stuff. But the PPC and AI stuff is probably what people care about the most in terms of this discussion. And like, those two channels are beautiful for my character because I'm very much performance based. And with the PPC stuff and strategies, some of the horror stories I've seen, there's a lot of wastage that goes on when it comes down to people's ad spends. And then when it comes to AI, every business is trying to adopt every single system. That's not the way that you need to approach it. You need to look at your own business, find the bottlenecks, which is what I'm a specialist at. Find the bottlenecks and then provide solutions to those bottlenecks to make your team's life easier. And there's a lot I can expand on that as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned AI. What is it in the market? What is the problem or need that you're finding in the pay-per-click ad market that you help clients solve? How do you help them?
The number one thing that is common across all clients that I deal with that they don't have implementation for is the speed to lead element of processes, of inquiries. We live in a world now, if you want to find something out, Chris, you can find it out in 5 seconds, right? It doesn't matter. So we're now accustomed to, if I pick up this phone and I do a search, we're accustomed to being able to have information at speed like this. Your customers are no different when it comes down to how you service them. I would say that the number one, from my experience, the number one thing that businesses, one, should focus on, and two, where I get the most inquiries from, is a speed to lead system. What do I mean by speed to lead? If you've got, traditionally, you'd have inquiries coming through email, socials, whatever. The inquiries come through the door, And what happens is they go round robin to a sales team, or your sales team tries to call them, they don't answer. You put the phone down, you email, you try them again the next day, or you try them again later. None of those times are convenient for that individual. They could be on a train, they could be on a plane, they could be doing whatever they want, right? Even if you called them immediately, even if that was the rule, that you called them immediately, a telephone call might not be a good solution right now. So I implement two-way SMS systems, WhatsApp systems, Telegram systems, social media systems where you reach out to them on LinkedIn, post inquiry. Like, these sort of systems are the ones where the user can answer at their own pace. I'm not saying you can't make the calls. There is a lot of AI around this, 11 Labs, Aircaller. There's a lot of tools that you can use now to make the calls automated. But I don't quite think voice AI is there just yet for this, even though it can be used. I don't think voice AI is quite there. But yeah, like, how quickly you get to a lead. And I have a company that I don't want to say angel invested in, but I invested in with my best friend, Josh. And we do 100K a month with 60K a month profit, almost on autopilot, using the two-way SMS system. One sales rep can handle between 400 and 600 leads a month because of the AI handling all of the data extraction, weeding out of the inquiries that aren't SQLs, the ones that we can't deal with. And the only time Josh ends up speaking to them is to close the deal. So he spends 80% of his time on the 20% that matter. And that's what the majority of businesses are missing out on. And obviously, the reason why they care so much about speed to lead is because when you improve someone's lead handling and efficiency, you directly impact their revenue. Some other AI solutions, even though they're needed, you can't directly see the return on investment like you can when you look at speed to lead or conversion rates of inquiries.
Really fascinating. The next question I have is, so you mentioned you mainly do everything through Upwork, and you went from 0 to 500K freelancer earnings. How did you do that?
Yeah, I heard about the Upwork channel through somebody who I knew who was big in the space. He's actually in the top like 3 to 4 global freelancers in the PPC space. His name's Antoine. He's a great guy and business partner of mine. But he put me onto Upwork about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. It was never a plan. It was never something that I saw. I always thought that, and incorrectly, and this is why you should never assume, it's the famous saying, but I always assumed that it was really small clients looking for cheap labor that would go to those platforms. That's what I thought. Like, they're just ignorantly, if you like I thought that's what it was. But when you actually dug deeper and went there, like I said to you, like Perfect Draft, I don't know if you know who they are, but they're a big firm. David Beckham's an ambassador. They're massive. Mercury Holidays are another. Like, these businesses, they're a big UK travel agent, not a travel agent, but travel booking system. I've had the pleasure of working with so many businesses, with the largest one spending 2 million a month on PPC because of Upwork. And I just took the pivot because I'd been advised by somebody in the know. Very much, you'll be aware of this. You're only as strong as your network or the 5 people you spend the most time around. I surrounded myself with people who were either entrepreneurs and really driving for success, or were already successful, by reaching out, by trying to build friendships and you'd be surprised by how many people would give you a chance if you just reached out to them in the correct way. And that's all that I did. Not just Antoine, many other people. Like, reached out to them, spoke to them. And yeah, I found it to be an extremely successful, lucrative platform. They do charge heavy fees. I do have other avenues of generating inquiries. I have a split. I have a PPC agency called AdTrain. And then I have an AI agency called AI Train. And then I have a YouTube channel where all I do is teach people about the AI stuff mainly at the moment. I'm going to pivot into some PPC stuff. But yeah, like, I had a lot of things cooking. And I'm not a man who believes that not that you can't spread yourself too thin, but a lot of people say find something, laser in, even some of the most famous people in the world. I'm not saying they're wrong. But for me, I found success when I found 2 or 3 key areas that worked for me, and I tapped into them as hard as I could. That's where I found the greatest success for me. So yeah, that's how I came across it. And it's a fantastic platform. If you are a freelancer offering a service, join Upwork.
Yeah, and I really love that a lot of people use the platform. The follow-up question I have for you is, because this is a business entrepreneur technology podcast. And how is AI contributing value to the PPC space? Is it either through, because the more I talk to entrepreneurs such as yourself, it's either through the generative side, like creating content, or it's like streamlining, making things more efficient, more effective, keeping costs low? How is AI impacting the PPC space, and how are you using it?
Yeah, it's heavily impacting the PPC space, but more so on my side than the client side. And what I mean by that is, like, for years, Google Ads have had scripts available for you to be able to automate specific things or rules that you could create. But now, like, if one of my clients overspends by a certain amount, I'm instantly alerted in Slack, and that triggers a notification that goes off here. Custom N8N flows built out for a multitude of different things. That ties in with other competitor analysis. So I actually have a system that scrapes the top 5 competitors of every one of my clients to see if they update something on their website or post something on social that is related to an offer or a deal that they might be running that I can relay to the clients. So it's completely revolutionized it, but it's revolutionized it. If you think about Google are the powerhouse. Google are going to win the AI marathon, right? They will. Doesn't matter about Claude, it doesn't matter about anything else. I'm telling you, Google are going to win the AI marathon. And the reason for that, not that all the others won't exist, but Google will, because they launched Opal in the US. I've used Opal personally. That's like a builder, like N8N. But what they're going to do eventually is they're going to incorporate the Google Ads side of things into the automation side of things to help build campaigns and be able to use this. That's the natural evolution. I think then you're going to see people bidding on inside of LLMs. So inside of large language models, you're going to be able to use Google Ads, for example, to be able to show on their LLM. Gemini is going to be filled with, if you ask about headphones under a certain price, it's going to give you the normal info, but you're also going to see paid listings. We're not quite there yet, which is why I'm saying that all of the tech falls on my side for how I report and give a better service to my clients. Automated reporting using API calls, all of this has been made seamless now for me. But when it comes down to the integration of PPC management itself, it hasn't yet been rolled out because there's obviously a lot on the line for Google. When it's 98% of their revenue and they're as big as they are, they have to be careful. But you better believe, like, they just rolled out AI search. So they're starting to incorporate it. And the more that their AI toolkit grows, because you've got Project Mariner, there's so many things that are going off in the AI space from Google's point of view, that eventually I think it's going to impact the direct usage of PPC. But for all I can tell you is that from a management point of view and making informed decisions, automation and AI has changed the game completely. The reports that I get every day when I wake up, I get a report about yesterday's performance for every client that's in like a PDF. Yeah, I hope that covers that, because if you're a business running Google Ads and you're in a position where or even just thinking about the future of search engines are going to change, my friend, like for good. The Google's AI mode and stuff, but also Perplexity's got their browser called Comet. And this morning I created a video on this that's going onto my YouTube channel, and it literally booked a flight for me going to New York. If I would have allowed it to continue, it would have made the payment on my behalf. Yeah, really, really exciting stuff. It's changed the way the PPC works for sure. But in terms of the actual platforms themselves, so far, there's not been too much change because there's a lot at stake for Google if they get it wrong. But believe me, it is coming.
And what a fantastic way to end the show. How can people connect with you and contact you, reach out to you, and learn from you and work from you?
So if you're interested in PPC management, if you're interested in AI management, adtrain.co.uk, aitrain.co.uk. If you want to learn, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always open to LinkedIn discussions. I love that. I'm very communication heavy. I will respond. But the other major way is by subscribing to my YouTube channel, especially if AI is your thing. If you're wanting to stay on top of what's happening in the AI field from somebody who has experience in multiple digital service industries, then give me a subscribe on YouTube. Find me, watch a few videos. I think you'll like what
Yeah, awesome conversation. And all the links will be in the show notes for the audience. And I really enjoyed this conversation, and keep up the great work.
No, thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me. I've seen many of your podcasts. I'm so glad that you had me on today, and hopefully I shared some wisdom with some people.